So you want to bet on the favorites this week at the Open Championship. How are you going to do that? Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Collin, Morikawa, and Ludvig Aberg. Chris Brees, Benny Betts here for Chalk Talk for the Open Championship. Benny, and we have one piece of advice for the folks out there this week.
Don't bet early. Wait on the chalk. When you get to an Open Championship, it is so difficult to predict the weather, and that's been the case this week in the lead-up. They can't really tell us when the wind is going to come, when the rain is going to come. It's going to be sporadic. It's going to hit everyone. So you can learn in an Open Championship. You can wait. You can hold back and see what's going on before you jump on short odds. There's no real need for it. Anything can happen in these events. So hold fire and then decide what you're going to do with these boys.
If you're new to us on YouTube, hit subscribe. What we do on these Wednesdays on Chalk Talk is look at all of our key stats from the week and how that applies to the 5 favorites. So let's start with those key stats we had, Benny. Strokes gained approach and strokes gained tee to green were the 2 metrics that we had figured out from Troon in the past and Open Championships in the past. We've included best Open results here and major top 10s just for more clarity. Obviously, we're laughing every time because Scottie Scheffler is tops of the board on all of these stats, but there's something about Scheffler's game at this moment in time. What makes me look at all of these ones and not believe that they're actually that big of stats to actually make him be at the top at the end of the week. I know he's going to be good. I know he's going to be on the leaderboard at some point, lurking somewhere. I just don't think him at plus 450, I don't think all these ones are justified for the way I think he's going to play this week.
100%. Look, with Scheffler, if you go stats alone, you have to back him, right? You have to pick him because he's the best in strokes gained approach, best tee to green. He's obviously won majors before. He's got multiple major top 10s, as you see there. But the outlying one there is his Open Championship result, right? That T8 was his first Open. He didn't really contend past maybe the first 2 rounds as well. And then last year, when he was on fire, he was struggling. He had a second round 75 in the Open. He fell back all the way near the cut line. It was only, I think, a 67 on the final day that saw him move up the board into the top 25. And he didn't. That was like the one event he didn't finish in the top 20 all year, basically. So, look, I worry when the weather is like this, as I said. I worry when we're getting wind and rain and unpredictability when you look at plus 450. I just don't see the value there. I'm sorry. Look, is he good enough? Yes, he's a ball striking genius. If he's on, he can lap the field, actually, if he's on. But if there's anything that goes wrong, anything that worries him, it could be like we saw at the US Open, where he was getting frustrated. He was getting annoyed. Things weren't going well for him. And 450, just not worth the squeeze. It's not. Look, he could prove me wrong, go out and shoot 65 or something ridiculous day one, and then that's going to be plus 200 or 180 or something, and you've missed the boat. But I still think there's better value elsewhere. I still think you can wait on Scheffler, and if he is a slow starter, you can make a decision. Hey, he's now plus 400, but he's 2 back, or he's plus 800 because he's 3 back. What are you going to do then? You can make a choice. I'm not jumping on before this thing starts. No way.
Just before we move on to the next guy, Rory McIlroy, let's go to our next stat. Recent major championships. And what we found in our trend was that players did decent enough. The winners at the Open did decent enough in recent majors. But just sticking on Scheffler here real quick, comparing his last 5 majors, you see all over the board. He's won, he's contended, he's not contended, he's somewhat contended. Compare that to just how ridiculous his last 5 non-majors have been. I mean, 3 wins and 2 T2s. I'm not here to say that Scheffler doesn't step up in majors, but I think what we can gather from these 2 charts, last 5 non-majors and last 5 majors, that the Open Championship, the uniqueness of it, like you had said, seems like it might be something that holds you back from picking Scheffler, because so many of these American courses are similar in some ways, that he's doing really well at. A course like this, a course like Pinehurst are very different, and so that's why, like you say, he's just not a smart bet. I don't know if you want to add to that or not.
Too many things can go wrong. Too many things can go wrong for such short odds. It's as simple as that. You're not, you weigh it up. Yes, the numbers are ridiculous. These stats are ridiculous. But against what can go wrong, it's not. I mean, the reason they're so short, they don't want you to bet him, right? They're trying to price it out. They're trying to sit there where we wait and see what happens. But look, we've seen it time and time again. A squall can come up while he's out on the course playing the hardest holes, and all of a sudden he goes 6 over in 6 holes, which is actually a good score because of the weather, but it knocks him out of the tournament. It happens all the time in the Open. So you just cannot justify plus 450. I can't even justify the next guy plus 850. I can't justify anything under double digits. I don't like 11. I'm thinking 16 is the bare minimum for a pre-tournament bet. I do like Morikawa and Aberg this week. That would be, maybe you go pre-tournament on that number. Anything outside that is where you go pre-tournament with your long shots or the other guys that you think, and you wait and see with these players. Wait and see how they go. Short of one of them, shooting ridiculous 63 or 64 or something, their odds are going to be there. You're still going to have a chance to get on and do something with them over the next 3 or 2 rounds.
Let's go to Rory next, since he's next on this board. Whether you're live betting or going right off the top, Rory's numbers to me, at the Open, he has proven he can play well here, whether he's winning in 2014 or contending so many other times. He's got the stats to back it up. The unique situations. He's got those stats. What's our concern on Rory, though? Because if we want to say his numbers are good for the key stats, which is fine, in the last 5 majors, let's go to that now here next. We're quite frankly, we're worried about Rory getting to that next level at majors, whether it's psyche or something, a mental roadblock in his head. What happened at the U.S. Open was just one of a couple of examples of how Rory just has prevented himself from doing well at majors.
The definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We keep getting sucked into Rory McIlroy majors over the last decade. He keeps putting himself there. You saw we had 31 top 10s in majors. 21 of those have come since his last win in a major. 21 top 10s. 21 opportunities to add to his 4 majors, but he hasn't done it. That's the result. And our colleague Will Gray said on our roundtable yesterday, if he does win another major, we're just not going to be on it. We're not on it because you're just not getting, 850, ridiculous. I was saying it was ridiculous to get on him at 14, 15 because, again, he is talented enough. He can put himself there, but he keeps proving over and over again to sabotage himself or something to go wrong or some sort of bad break. So again, when you're talking value and using your hard-earned cash, if you're a Rory fan and you love him and you want to put a little bit on him just so you can cheer harder, go for your life. But I just think it's not the value. It's not there. It's I will be the first to cheer him home. I hope he wins another major. I hope he does it in front of his home fans. That would be awesome. But in terms of putting cash down, I'm not advocating for that. Sorry, if you missed the 850 and you want to be mad at me afterwards, go for your life. But I just don't think there's value there at 850.
And look, we could both be eating some serious crow on Scheffler and Rory. It's our gut reactions, our gut feelings. For me, it's more so Scheffler than it is Rory, the gut reaction of him just not quite doing as well as the odds say he will. Rory, I'm a little bit more on the fence, but I agree in general. Xander,
he's trending.
What's that?
He's trending. Rory is trending.
He is.
Right? If you took out all the failures I just talked about, you would be like, get on this guy.
Yeah.
Smash him.
But that's the biggest thing is the failures.
That's
you can't
the
get
biggest
past
thing.
It, especially at 8-1.
Get past it.
Xander Schauffele.
We were getting,
Sorry, Xander Schauffele. He, to me, is a massive enigma. We don't know if the PGA Championship was the precipice, and now all of a sudden, no, I'm saying, it could be the peak. I'm saying he hit it, and now he's just gangbusters. Or maybe that was, okay, I've gotten my major. 2024 has been good enough. I'm not saying he's going to mail it in this week, but I just can't get past the fact that technically, since he finished it was T2 in 2018 when Francesco won. Since then, the Open Championship's been his worst major, and it's not even really that close.
So here's the thing about where he was second. It was Carnoustie, the hardest, essentially, the hardest of the Opens, right? Because it plays a bit more like a US Open in that regard, where par is good. There is a chance this week, if it does get difficult conditions, and we talked about this earlier in the week as well, with that back nine. This back nine is brutal. That is where Xander could potentially separate himself and do well. He could play the hard holes better than most,
Okay.
and as a result, be in the mix. But I'm not convinced like you are. I feel like from the first major, the first Open, it's gone backwards since. I do think there's a little less. Motivation is the wrong word, like you said, but it just that hunger might not quite be there like it was before. To he's finally done it. There's a letdown whether you like it or not. And so we'll see how that plays out. I think if he can get into contention, it'll ramp back up for him. But if he has a slow start or is not quite there, I don't know if we'll see the best of Xander's grind, which he's been famous for in the past, right? Like he will grind and he will fight, he will claw, but with that little bit of less motivation, potentially, we might not see exactly his best.
I'll
be interested to see how he goes.
Yeah, I think what we will see, I think we'll see Xander Schauffele in contention at some point. I mean, whether you're looking here at non-majors, he has been near or at the top of the leaderboard each of his last 5 non-majors, and really near or top of the leaderboard in his last 5 majors as well. So, it might come down to, you mentioned those back nines on each round, Thursday through Sunday. How is he doing on them? I mean,
how are others doing on it? Right?
Right.
If it's a full grind, I actually like him better.
Okay.
Right. Again, when we're going back to this too, we're talking about these guys not necessarily can they win. We know they're all good enough to win. Right. That's clearly the reason they're the favourites in any tournament. We talk about the chalk like this in reference to their value and their odds. Right. At 11-1, as good as he's been going, too much can be. There's so many variables in the Open. It literally, you can have a whole half of the tournament wiped out by bad luck. Just bad luck. Bad luck with a rainstorm or a windstorm. So we don't know what side he's going to be on. We don't know if that's possible. So when you have 11-1, it's not the go. And we've seen too, like guys win the Open at much higher odds. It wasn't that long ago that Todd Hamilton won here. Todd Hamilton, no one had ever heard of him. Basically, if you didn't know, if you weren't fully in the golf bubble, you wouldn't have seen it. And even Henrik Stenson, who won last time at Troon, who was a great ball striker and a FedEx Cup champion and everything else, he wasn't one of the top favourites going in, right? He was just an experienced campaigner with great ball striking, which is why we have approach and tee to green. So I think that experience can matter too. Maybe that's something that helps Rory against Scheffler and Xander. And of course, Ludvig, who's playing his absolute first Open Championship.
Well, that's a good segue. That's a good segue to Ludvig.
We've seen what he did last week at the Scottish, right? For 3 days, three and a half days, whatever you want to call it. It was one of the best players in the world, looked like, and that's what he is. But experience matters down the stretch, and we have to decide whether what he did at the Masters, which was to be second, what he did at the US Open, was to lead early but then fall away. Is he learning from that, or are these starting a trend that he's not quite ready, not quite there? He's like the new Xander, if you will. It's going to do 6, 7, 8 top 10s in majors before he finally breaks through. We have to decide whether we think which bracket he's going to fit. Will it be like Collin Morikawa there?
Yeah, exactly. He's one or the other. They're different ends of the spectrum. Right. Is he Xander? Yeah. Takes you 20 tries, or is he Collin Morikawa? It takes you 3 or 4 tries, whatever it was for Morikawa.
Well, he was his first Open. He won his first Open.
Yeah.
So there you go. He'd obviously, played in other majors, etc., and done well and done well in the past as well. But so those two, as I said, they're where you're starting to think, okay, if you like either of those guys, 16-1, now you can decide, okay, do I want a little nibble now or not? Do I want to wait? Either works. And I would just say, if you are going to nibble early, don't go big, just a little. And then if you still like them after the first round, you can go again. So that's where I'd be on anyone sort of inside the 20-1 mark. As I said, I would be waiting and seeing, because if they end up on the bad side of the draw, you're going to be so mad that you've been wiped out before things start, right? So, and you learn. We talked about this on the round table as well. Everyone goes off the first tee, everyone. And it's from 6:30 in the morning to whatever, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they go off that first tee. You can watch, you can see the weather, you can get the latest forecasts, you can figure out, okay, the wind's not as bad as they thought, so they're going deeper, or the wind's going to be worse in the afternoon. I better, like, even, for instance, first round leader is a fascinating one for me. This is a week where someone gets in the clubhouse early, they usually get overrun, but maybe they don't hit. maybe something gets worse. So all of a sudden, you've got a person already in the lead with still
Right.
high odds. You might be able to have a little play
Yeah.
at that,
And playing
especially
the
if you see, that the wind's coming or something, or you see in the forecast rain's coming. That gives you these
yes.
opportunities that you don't get any other week. You just
And
don't get them.
if these guys are playing the back nine at 4 or 5 o'clock, it's going to be different than playing it at 10 o'clock. That's just the way it
Yeah.
goes. Before we go, Collin Morikawa is our last one. Now, all transparency, Ben and I both picked Collin Morikawa. Ben's been saying
Yeah.
it for 2 months. This is the place for Morikawa. Whether you have concerns about him in the wind, that's one. Being able to adapt, I would say he's okay and actually pretty good at adapting to what is put ahead of him. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him. He takes things as they come. What I am concerned about Morikawa, having picked him, he seems like right now in 2024, majors have not been an elevated performance for him. His non-majors and his majors have been relatively similar. You could actually say his last 5 non-majors, he's been competing like crazy. I mean, he has been in contention on Sundays, and you look at his last 5 majors, he's competed in some of them, but in other ones, he's been completely off the radar. So, yes, it's a gamble. That's why it's called gambling, right? We don't know which Collin Morikawa we're going to get, and I would say that's the one concern we should have about picking him.
I'll say this: of the last 3 there, which are the ones from this year, third of the Masters was in it up to his eyeballs most of the week.
Uh-huh.
Fourth at the PGA, led with a round to go,
Right.
and probably should have won. Was essentially the worst performer on Sunday, which was not expected given how he had played. And the T14 at the US Open seems not so good, but it really was just one bad round.
Mm-hmm.
He had one poor section. It took him out of the tournament, and he returned to good form from that. So I like what I've seen from Morikawa all season. I like what he's doing. I just don't know, how, if he's really ratchets up again after what we saw at the PGA. Has he learned from that? Is he ready to do something about it? Because he talked the talk at the PGA. If you went by just body language with a round to go, you were saying Morikawa all the way, and Xander, no way. He looks like he's ready to choke. Like their body language with 18 holes to go was complete opposite of what it ended up being. So I'm fascinated to see if he can put himself in the mix with the attention on him. Like he knows that a lot of people, not just us, a lot of people are picking him this week. A lot of people are suggesting this is the place he should go. But he's missed the last 2 open cuts. After winning, he's missed the cut 2 in a row. The other thing Will said, our colleague Will Gray said that did spook me a little is, okay, if it comes down the stretch and it's a 6-footer, it's a 6-foot putt that he needs to make.
Who are you trusting?
10-foot putt, right?
It's not him.
So it's 10 foot. But if it's him and Scheffler, well, they're both missed.
Yeah, right.
Go to a playoff and we'll see what happens. But will Rory make it this time if it's Rory, or will somebody else come from the woodwork and make the putt when it counts? That's what we have to wait and see with Morikawa. He needs to just stick with what he's been doing, play the game he has, put himself in contention, and prove that he's still one of the elite players in the world of golf.
Just in case anybody's wondering, Ben is not in America right now. He's wearing a winter jacket because it is winter time where he is right now in his home and native land of Australia. We have so much going on this week at Golfbet. We hope you've enjoyed all the stats we've given you the last couple of days. And Benny, we're not done because we have round recaps Thursday through Saturday at the Open, and that's where we're really going to help people too.
Yeah, we're really going to help you, not only because, look, I might be in Australia, but guess what? He's finally there. Our man, Will Gray, after travel issues all over the spot, he's there in June right now. We couldn't quite get him on right now because he's still trying to battle his way to the course, but he'll be there watching on the ground for all 4 days. We'll be watching from afar and putting our analysis on all the stats. I've got access to everything you can imagine in the back door of all the statistics, etc. We'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll give you draws and fades essentially for every round. So come and see us right at the end of play. We'll be here, and we'll let you know who we think are the players that are now good odds, or where the guys that might falter. Look, this guy's in front, but it's a bit of a misnomer. He's actually gotten lucky. He had a chip in. He did this, whatever it is. We'll be ready to give you all the insight, all the information, and hopefully get you some cash.